Hello friends, welcome to my channel Go Digit. Today in this video we will learn about global database events. Right. Global database events, as its name suggests, are the events which tracks the complete business central activities. Right. So for example, this is the business central, and if I make any changes in any particular table, right, so it tracks that activity, and in case we want to subscribe to those events, just to fetch out the information which those events are tracking, then we can subscribe or we can use those events. Okay, generally we have seen this kind of concept in the change log management. Okay, so how change log management works is exactly the same. Like, they subscribe to these events, and through which they could easily get the complete activity which a user generally does in any of the tables. Okay, so in this video we will understand this concept and try to create a mini change log. Okay, so for example, just to make the video shorten, I don't want to start from the scratch, so I have created few pages. So for example, this is a page I have created where we can mention that which table we want to track. Okay, so let's say I want to track table customer, and I want to track table vendor. All right, so I have mentioned that these tables I want to track. So this is a kind of a setup table based on which, like, you can mention that which table you want to track down. Okay, so this is the page I have created, and if you go to the mini change log, if I type here mini change log, so this is also nothing but a page, a simple page, where the system will auto populate or auto insert the values based on the events which we subscribe. Okay, so whenever we perform any activity in the tables which I have mentioned in the table log, like customer and vendor, those activities will get updated here. Okay, automatically, so that I could see that what record ID of that particular record which I inserted in that particular table, what was the table ID, when I published that, and who actually published that. Okay, so these kind of four fields I have created in it, just to mention or just to check out that how the global database events actually work. Okay, so very quickly I open my project. So here you can see these are my two tables, and these are the two respective list pages of these two tables. All right, a very simple list page, and these two simple tables. Nothing fancy about it. Okay, so now the main thing is that how we can track those activities which I do in the table customer and the table vendor. So for that, let me create a new file and name it as database hooks.al. Okay, so what I do here is I mention code unit ID, and I'll name it as database hooks. Okay, I don't need this on run trigger, so I delete the same. And of course, I need to add this property. Okay, now let me add my first subscriber event here, which is the code unit, and uh, the standard code unit on which those events which I want to subscribe are available. So the name of that code unit is global triggers. Okay, so it's a standard code unit through which where you can find all those database events which we can use to just track our activities in particular tables which we want to highlight, and which we want to see that who actually updating the records in those tables. So I can mention the same. So this is the global triggers code unit, and first of all, let me set this as false, this one also as false, no need for this element, and yes. Now the very first event is get database table trigger setup. Okay, so this event is very much important, because through this event only, when you subscribe to this particular event, you tell the system that these are the tables I want to track down. Okay, if you don't mention this event, then system will not identify or will not be able to understand that which tables you want to register in the setup, so that you want to track down those tables. Okay, so let's say table configuration, I name it as a table configuration, and if you press control space, now you see it takes the following parameters. Okay, so as you can see, it takes the table ID, right, the table number, then the boolean variables of on database delete, on database insert. So here it has all the parameters which requires to register your table, and along with that what activity you want to track on that particular table, like deletion, insertion, modification, and the rename. Okay, so here, as we know that we have already created one setup table, which through which I could configure that which table I want to track down. So here, this is my table. Okay, so what I do here is that table log dot find set, because I can input multiple tables there. So that if the table ID, of this particular parameter for this event is equivalent to my table log dot table ID, then of course begin, and then let's mention that which activity I want to track down. So I want to track down the deletion on this table, I want to track down the insertion in that table, I want to track down the modification on that table. Okay, I don't want to track down the rename, so I can skip that. Now let's say until your table log dot next equivalent to 0. Simple. So here what I have written is that whenever this event gets subscribed, like whenever this event runs and my event subscriber subscribe to this particular event, it will check that whatever tables I have mentioned in my table log, system should update the following activities, or should start tracking the following activities of deletion, insertion, modification on my tables. Okay, so in this way I have registered my tables which I want to track down, and also I register the type of activity which I want to track down. Okay, got it. But now the second part of this video is that I want to, whatever the events or whatever the activity against my table system will register, system will track down, I want to input those values in my mini change log, so that I can always refer to my mini change log that who did and what, and at what date and what point of time, and what type of activity, what type of record they have updated. So for this, there is another event available, and that event is, if I copy the same, because all the events are available in the global triggers code unit. So let's say you want that whenever any insertion happens in that, so you want to put the values there in your mini change log. So we have this event called on database insert, right? And let me write down this function as db insert. Okay, and obviously it does not take the same parameter, and if you don't know, then you can always press control space and see it takes this one parameter, right? Now I want to insert all the values which I want to track, which my system will track in my mini change log table. So what I do is mini change log. All right, then let's say that if the table ID of the table log match with the record reference number, okay, because obviously db insert will run in every table, every page, like whatever tables the user is accessing, but in that sense the record reference will always hold multiple numbers, multiple tables numbers information. And if in case you don't want to track every table and you just want to track whatever tables are mentioned in your table log, so that's why I am adding this set range, just to check out that whether the record reference is having the same table which I want to track down or not. Okay, so if the table log is not empty, then begin. Okay, let me delete this one, I don't need this. Then what I should do is that mini change log dot init mini change log dot record id. Okay, in this ref dot record id, so record id holds the information of the primary key. Okay, so the record which you insert in the tables of mentioned in the table log, like customer or vendor, so it will keep the information of the primary key like customer number and the vendor number, so that you can also gets to know that which record gets inserted in your customer table or in your vendor table. Okay, so that is very important. So then publish date as today. Okay, mini change log dot table id, of course, like on which table. So here it is. Then mini change log dot user id with user id, like who did this type of insertion. Okay, then I can always type mini change log dot insert. Okay, and in case you want to track down the type of entry, then I should create one more field here. Okay, for example, let's say I add this one more field with the name as entry type, and it will be entry type, and I add this in the page also as entry type. Okay, so now if I go back again to my code unit, so I can type that this is insertion. Okay, now in the same manner I can create another event subscriber for modification. Okay, so here what I can do is that now I add another on database modify. Okay, and name it as db modify. All right, so if it has the number, then if it is not empty, then of course it should update the same thing, and this time I change it as modify. All right, so let's see the results. I compile this project. By the way, before I show you the output, I just want to tell you one thing, that I have added this record ID field in my table, and which, if I show you, the data type of this record ID is the record ID itself. Okay, which will show you the information of the primary key. But uh, while assigning it to the page so that you want to see what value it holds, you cannot directly see the value in of the record ID data type. You must have to enclose that field under the in the format brackets. Okay, you have to use those record ID data type fields with the format only, because without format it will not be visible to you guys in the user interface. Okay, so always use with the format. Okay, so now let's me publish it, and let's see the results. It will open up very soon. Come on, Business Central opens up. Yes, so let me close this instance because I don't need it anymore. This is which have all the latest changes which I did in my project. So let's see. First of all, we will see that my tables which I inputted in the table log are intact there, and the records not gets deleted from there. So let's see the results in the table log first. Table log. So yeah, here it has the customer table and the vendor table. Of course, now just to check it further that my mini change log does not hold anything. So yeah, it does not have anything anymore. So let me click on new first in my customer. I am on the customer only. I'll click on new and I select this. Click on OK. And just like this, my new customer gets inserted. And now the same I do for vendor also. And let me insert a new vendor. So V0010, this is my record. And now let's see your mini change log. If I see the mini change log now, here you are. See, the first is that I have inserted in the table 18, and the record ID is having the customer and the primary key, right? This was the record which I updated or which I created new. Okay, and this was done by the user ID admin, and this was the publish date, and the entry type is the insertion. Okay, and when I opened the card and updated the name, then following entries gets updated here. So anytime the number of times your modify trigger gets run, the modify event on database modify event runs. So our subscriber function subscribed to that event and created the following entries here. Okay, in the same fashion you can see that the vendor table, when I create a new record in the vendor with the record primary key V0010, so it created that also, first of all as an insertion, and then uh, all the modification entries which you did in your vendor record. So this is how you can make the use of the global database events, and it can help you in certain functionalities. I could not say that it will help you in every functionality, because in every functionality you don't need this. But in case you come up with certain functionalities where you require that customer can select the tables on their own, and then you can perform certain functions based on the type of uh, like insertion, deletion, modification done in those tables. You want to perform some activity, then definitely these events can help you a lot. So guys, so this is the uh, this is how we can do it. So first of all, you have to register your table, and along with the table registration, you have to register the type of triggers functions like delete, insert, modify. You have to register those also. Then only you can use on database insert, modify, delete, rename, and so on. Okay, so I hope now you have at least got an idea of this particular concept of global database events, and you can always enhance it with whatever logic you want to build up. So my idea was just to give you the briefing of the concept, that how we can use this one. Okay, so with that, I want to close this video, and in case you have any suggestions, please let me know in the comment section, and I request you to please hit the like button and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching this video.